Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
All tracks look to have something to set them apart. In the case of Talladega, it lays claim to being the longest, the steepest, and the fastest. 3 highly sought-after points of notoriety. But today, the drivers only care about the win. Who will come away with it? Let's find out as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. If you haven't heard of Talladega, I'm going to assume you're pretty new to oval racing. Regardless, let's head to our track guide to find out about this monstrous circuit. Welcome to Talladega Superspeedway. Not satisfied with his incredible accomplishments with Daytona, Bill France Sr. plucked up a plot of land in Alabama east of Birmingham and had one goal: make it faster. At 2.66 miles and with 33 degrees of banking, he succeeded. Not only is the banking steeper and the lap longer than Daytona, but the track itself is wider as well. As you'd expect, this makes for one of the most unique styles of racing motorsports has ever seen. The slipstream allows drivers to stay with one another so easily that it becomes less about the speeds each driver can reach and more about the strategy of racing in a pack. Bump drafting is a technique in which the car behind actually pushes the car in front so that both are able to reach higher speeds. And side drafting is another in which the drivers use the air off the sides of their cars to slow their opponents down. Staying out of trouble is always is a difficult aspect of superspeedway racing, and it's not uncommon to see drivers intentionally move to the back of the pack to avoid the chaos. In fact, the high speeds make large wrecks so hard to avoid that the term "the big one" has become commonplace to refer to the almost inevitable multi-car pileups the circuit is known for. Also, entering pit lane is its own skill, which requires practice in order to slow the car up as quickly and safely as possible. Keeping the car clean and in contention is the main goal for much of the event. Then the final few laps, it's a race to the line, with any alliances usually dissolving and the driver's urge to win taking over. Known for gobbling up cars and ruining a driver's good day in the blink of an eye, Talladega truly holds the title of the biggest and baddest track on the NASCAR circuit. Well, DJ, the other thing that this place is known for, besides the speeds, is, of course, the fact that it is unpredictable.
Yeah, indeed it is, Joe. Look for 2-3 wide to be taking place the entire night long, a lot like we saw at Daytona, the bump draft and that energy moving up with lines. We're going to see big trains of cars here tonight, and so that's what you've got to be careful for. And if there's a little bobble on that first or second lane, it can really spearhead off and send a shockwave throughout the entire field. So drivers have to be very, very careful. Sticking to your lane is going to be thing, and patience is going to be key. Watch for about the first, I would say, 70 laps of this race to attempt to be relatively pedestrian, relatively calm and collected, and then in those final 15, well, everything's going to break loose.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't bet against that as we head over to our sponsors for this series, which of course includes ASR, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced SimRacing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of our iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL NASCAR Cup Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, back testing, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Now, as for the performance of our drivers up to this point in the season, Abner Acosta has been the man to beat. 3 on the trot lately. See if he can keep that up at a place where it's hard to guarantee a win here at Talladega. Josh Daniels has been very consistent, but hasn't really beaten him except for the first round of the season. Trent Dinkle, another one that has used consistency to his credit, and also has been a huge improvement over previous years here in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. Ever since the start of 2022, he's been a new man. Pat Harvey is a bit of a distance behind them, and he's about 9 ahead of Cody Evanson back there in 5th. What about the team's standings there, DJ?
Well, it's a little bit more spread out in those team standings, Joe, with private label Team Hype holding a 49-point lead over Love Racing. SGE eSports Slipstream about 30 points back from them, and about 18 points back from them is their sister team of SGE eSports Octane. And then about 17 points from back from them is that third sister team for SGE eSports Apex.
And of course, if we take a look at the race details for today's event, it's going to be 95 laps. We hit the halfway mark after the end of today in this season. And they've also got limited tires, but that's not usually a concern here at Talladega. So don't really count on that being a talking point, as they also have a fixed setup. Now, that, of course, is going to even things out greatly at a super speedway race, and it really is all going to be down to strategy and less about speed itself. They don't have a spare car, though, so if you do get caught up in that big one, well, that might be hopes for a competitive finish pretty much dashed. They also have a 24 incident limit, so you have to keep it clean. can't beat and bang too hard here at Talladega. And we're just about done with our practice session. Going to head over to the qualifying in a few moments, which won't mean a great deal, although we do have a large list of drivers after Martinsville, no surprise, that have been given an EOL penalty for some unfortunate incidents back at the half-miler. And really, I think the big thing of note, DJ, as we were coming in, is that it seems Alabama is a little bit toasty today on the ground.
Yeah, it's 116 degrees Fahrenheit right now out on the track surface, and that is going to be very, very toasty. Now, as you said, not really worrying about tire wear necessarily, but as we've talked about a couple of times over the course of this season, these new next-gen tires, they are very, very susceptible to overheating, and so drivers are going to have to really, really work to try to keep those temperatures nice and cool on the tires, not overheat them too much. I wouldn't be surprised if, because of that, you maybe see the middle to high line being favored a little bit more here, as that's going to put just a little bit less wear on those outside tires in particular.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it regardless throughout the race, and just in case it becomes something of a problem. In the final minute and a half, the drivers have been getting their practice in, not just around the track, because, well, I guess you don't really need practice around the track so much, except for maybe trying to be nice and smooth, but really it's about working in that slipstream. We saw the drivers make a concerted effort before we came live here, DJ, to get big groups together and try to work on being comfortable around each other.
Yeah, exactly. And having that comfortability with your other drivers, being calm when you know that there is a driver just a few feet to your right or left, that is really what it is all about here at Talladega. You cannot be running this race if you get a little bit skittish in traffic. That's a one-way ticket to disaster.
Indeed. And 95 laps is going to be a decent length of time. Now, we should mention that it's not just lap-based in this series. They have a time limit. If it reaches 90 minutes, it becomes a timed race. So watch out for that if they wind up having too many cautions. It's not super uncommon, especially since the next-gen car got introduced to the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. Was a bit messy to start out. Since the first couple races, they've honestly gotten quite a bit better. But definitely something the drivers need to pay attention to, because they could find themselves finishing a few laps earlier than they anticipated. They also have a green-white checkered in this series, if it comes to that. We'll see if it winds up being the case, because that'll certainly be an interesting incident. We've got the last of the practice session just ticking down, and the race control is giving them one last mention of who is giving the EOL penalties here today, which includes Mark Kalin, Brandon Walter, Eric Papineau, Dan McLaren, Eric Hagg, Clayton Ham, Jose Medina, Dustin Griffiths, Zach Osborne, and Joshua Telez. Now, not everybody is here today, so some of those drivers might not show up in the qualifying simply because they aren't attending. But any of those names you heard, you should not expect to see them in this qualifying session, which has just kicked off now. And I'm figuring, probably like we usually see here, second lap, going to be the money lap at Talladega.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. Don't be surprised to see some drivers riding the high line here on that first lap. Again, not wanting to overheat the tires for one, and secondly, also just trying to keep everything together and keep up that speed as much as possible.
Now, what I'm very curious to see, honestly, is that list that I went through. That's 10 names. They only have, I think, about 29 drivers out there. So, as I said, not everybody is here, so it's not going to be all 10 that are missing in the qualifying session, but still a decent chunk. But Talladega is known for drivers sometimes electing not to qualify here in the iRacing sim, just so that they can get out of trouble early on. So I'm kind of curious, with that high of a number of EOL penalties, how many people are going to even qualify in the first place here?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an interesting situation to come into. And Joe, you know, I always understand that idea from folks to not want to have to avoid everything. But the truth of the matter is in these new next gens, these bigger brakes, these heavier cars, they are so hard to slow down I want to try to put this car as far to the front of the field as possible, so I have to avoid as few people as possible.
Well, let's see who shares your philosophy on that, as we're just getting the first flying laps starting, I think, for most of our drivers. Now, they can't sit around forever, because it does take almost a minute to circulate around this track. And a 54-1 is going to be Josh Daniels, our first driver to set a time, but Trent Dinkle goes quicker, and both of them are pulling off after the first lap. Now, this is interesting.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting, and I wonder if that's a little bit of a response to just how hot the temperatures are around here, that they're worried that the tires are going to go by the time the second lap gets rolling around.
I mean, they would know by now. I would think they probably would have done some practice runs on qualifying to see how to make it work, as we ride on board with Josh Conker here, who still has not set a time in that number 54. Conker not quite having a stellar season. Had a poor run at Atlanta in the first round, and then third round only managed to rack up 28 points, so that's why you didn't see him within the top 5. A bit surprising, mostly because Josh is another one of those that is usually massively consistent here in the Cup Series. Let's see what this lap does for him, and if he's going to head around for the second.
Yeah, indeed. We'll have to see a lot of drivers opting to slow down here. Looks like Michael Witt, another one. Looks like Conker's going to keep that speed up. That's going to be good enough for 4th.
We have a minute 30 left, and 9 cars have set a time. I see more than a dozen that are not out on track. Let's see, Evanson, Walden, Amasi, Walter, and Romero are out there. Evanson just puts in a time. This, I think we might wind up with the case where we have more drivers that didn't qualify than did.
I think we might as well, Joe, and I think that's going to be a first in Precision Racing League history.
So Walter's not out there. Walden has already finished his. Well, he's gone kind of slow. Right now, I think we're looking at the 54. In the meantime, this is Josh Conker, who is going to take this second lap, and it does not go faster. So maybe there was something to everybody giving up after that first one. Acosta, our points leader, was good enough for 3rd. As Walden goes by, maybe he's just getting himself a lap just to get one in. No, that looked competitive. It's a 54-181. And that actually puts him on the inside of the second row, bumping Abner Acosta down. But 20 seconds left. That should be pretty much it, as Romero's already finished his 2 laps.
Yeah, indeed. I think that is everybody. Only 12 drivers qualifying, Joe.
This is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in all my coverage of super speedway races. But we'll let the drivers cycle over to the gridding, and we have Trent Dinkle once again on the pole here. So clearly making good on that recent spate of pace that he has found. Josh Daniels will start to his outside. Waldo Walden will be in 3rd. Abner Acosta, good enough for P4 today. It's Josh Conker who starts in 5th. Mike Witt, great job out there to start from 6th. Corey Precker will be 7th, and Adam Zimpe 8th. And row 5 has Charles Sumner and Chris Hudson.
Starting off in 11th, it's going to be Carlos Romero, followed by Cody Evanson, who was the last driver to set a time out there today. 13th is going to be Pat Harvey, followed by Richard Regan Jr. Eric Papineau will be 15th, with Skip Gandy lining up to his outside. Row 9 is going to be Byron McDonald and Scotty Johnson, with Mark Kalin and Robert Besaw Jr. rounding out your top 20.
Brandon Walter starts from 21st, Luke Christian in 22nd. After that, it's one of our other drivers unable to qualify. Clayton Ham there in 23rd, Tom Massey 24th, and Dan McLaren 25th. Bobby Anderson starts P26. Last 2 are going to be Jose Medina and Ricky Barbary. So there is your 28 car field here for round 5. We do have some onboards. Let's try and look through a few of those. Corey Precker is one of those that is giving us a shot. He did qualify, and he will start from the 7th position here this evening. There is Corey's camp. And then we've got Eric Hogg as well. And Eric's going to be starting from 21st, so a little bit farther down in his machine. And another of our regulars here in this series is Robert Besaw Jr. in the number 3. He's going to give us a perspective from 20th position. There his game room, as you can see. And then you've got Chris Hudson also showing us his view from the 10th position, another of our drivers that did actually put down a time here today. A lot of cams, by the way. They're still partway through this. We've also got Waldo Walden, who is going to be starting from the inside of the second row. And there is Walden's, well, very spacious racing room, it appears. I'll have to ask him about that if we get to talk to him. Trent Dinkle from the pole position, also arriving once again on our onboard cams. There is Trent Dinkle. And we've also, I believe, got Carlos Romero with us here. And he is going to be starting from 11, so towards the back of those who actually did bother to set a time for this race, but still solidly in the mid-pack. Looks like he's having a little bit of camera troubles, unfortunately. And finally, it is going to be Josh Conker that is in with his view in the number 54 with his banner, as always, giving him company behind him. All right, then. Getting ready to start 95 laps here, DJ. And it's a long ways to go. If you're in this group, if you're in this pack, do you just sit back and stay patient? Or you said you prefer to be up at the front. Do you try and charge your way to the front to put yourself in a safer position?
I'd wait and see how these first couple of laps shake themselves out. If there's an opportunity to build up on that third lane, be able to get myself up forward, I would go for it. But I think at the end of the day, discretion's going to be the better part of valor here. You just need to be patient, just need to be calm, and not work too hard. You want to save everything you've got for those final 15 laps, and, well, you've also just got to pray that nothing crazy happens around you.
Sometimes it takes just a little bit of luck here to win at Talladega, but certainly takes positioning yourself well. Now, they're not going to go for a while because they can only go on green here for the initial start. And since they have the finish line all the way on the other side of the tri-oval, they got to wait for a decent amount of time, and Trent Dinkle will have to sit patiently. That said, you honestly don't want to jump usually in super speedway racing. You want to make sure that the entire field goes with you. So we wait patiently, and there's the green flag. They get on the loud pedal and start to accelerate away. Bit of a slow start for Walden back there on the inside of the second row, but he is going to eventually get it up and rolling. And looks like right now it's a relatively calm start. I'm not seeing a whole lot of shuffling. And doesn't look like anybody's trying to get single file, but nobody's really in a rush to try and move to any other sort of position at all.
No, everybody keep it nice and calm here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this double file play out through the large stages of this race. This is kind of the cautious and considerate way to be able to run Talladega. It's when you get three wide that things get a little bit dicey. You can certainly do it, but you've got to have a lot of tenacity to be able to run that three wide lane.
Not seeing much of an advantage with the high side yet. Daniels still leading slightly over Dinkle. Through the tri-oval, though, that 9 starts to edge back forward, and he is going to lead the first lap away this time. That is worth a bonus point. And we should mention, Pole gave 2 bonus points to Trent Dinkle. Leading the most laps is worth a bonus point, and then the fastest lap will give you another one on the board. So plenty to vie for to help give yourself that edge in the championship. And Daniels had a chance to go down to the bottom, but chose not to take it.
No, he's getting a nice little push there up top from Abner Acosta, and I think he's just going to want to try to hold that out for a little bit. No reason to be switching lanes here quite yet. I think you're relatively safe if you want to just stay where you are, and we're seeing good momentum, good energy from that high lane.
So far, everybody's sticking with this main pack. We've only lost 2 of them, Bobby Anderson and Tom Massey, at the very end. Not sure if that was intentional of them or if they just kind of accidentally lost touch at the start of this race. So Daniels continues to lead as Dinkle on the bottom side falls almost a full car length behind, but you're right, it seems he likes having the 5 as his pusher for the time being. The one in line behind them is going to be Mike Witt in the 26 in that red machine.
Yeah, and Witt's got to be careful there. The old adage around super speedway racing, never push the pusher. He does not want to be the driver that is causing a little bit too much friction there, so he's got to be a little bit careful and be very, very careful on his throttle control as to not get into the back of Abner Acosta.
Well, so far, so good. I do like what I'm seeing. It's a long race, and there's plenty of opportunities to try and do what you need to do here. So it looks like the drivers are all taking that attitude of let's get the laps down first and then let's get into it. Because even though it's been double file this whole way around since the start, only a couple drivers have decided to switch back and forth between the lanes. They're all pretty happy sitting where they are.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of drivers there you're seeing switch those lanes in the back, just trying to find a little bit more of that momentum, but no real switching around in this top position. A little bit of a good push there for Trent Dinkle. He's able to kind of get a little bit ahead there with a good push from Josh Conker.
If we do get a lot of green flag running, the other question that starts to arise, DJ, is what about fuel? I was able to cover another Talladega race last night, and that became a huge question mark, wherein the drivers had to make sure that coming down to the last stop, they could get to the finish, and it came down to with only, I think, about a 2 or 3 lap buffer, about a lap window that was open. And the more they stay green, the more that's going to be, I think, a talking point as the top drops back and the Witt, for some reason, looks a little bit out of sorts.
Yeah, and that can happen there. If you've got that second or third car in the line running out of a little bit of steam, that can certainly throw you back in the order a little bit. Couple of drivers there in the back looking to move around a little bit. I see the 26 jumping down. That is Witt. As you said, he's going to go down to the low line. I think we're thinking about single file there.
Okay. Well then, don't want to sit up there towards the top. Witt's already got to the bottom. Daniels doesn't really seem to have any room at the end. Neither does Acosta. They're going to lose a lot of positions here. Zemke as well. He goes all the way up to the high side. And then a few cars then jump in behind him. Looked like he wanted to go to the back, but others don't seem to want him to be at the back, as they are going to join in. And now it gets a little bit spread out. I'm seeing the back of that pack get a little disorganized.
Yeah, it certainly is there, Joe. Just starting to get a little bit squirrely, and you can see as those drivers have migrated off of that high lane, not as many cars up there, not as much energy, and you're just seeing there Daniels falling back. Acosta doing everything he can do to try to push him forward, but not enough energy up on the high line to get him going.
Well then, meanwhile, the 43 of Chris Hudson has hopped up and is getting pushed by Josh Daniels. Hudson, one of our onboards here today in that STP number 43 in its classic scheme. Down the back stretch, they fly, and the top line is definitely thinned out pretty significantly, but it's forming up once again as we check in with the cameras of Chris Hudson.
Yeah, there you can see Chris, just very, very minimal inputs there on that wheel. Couple of sorries there being said, as I think there was a little bit of pushing through the corner. Hudson getting a little bit of a pull.
Yeah, Hudson, as I mentioned, has Daniels just behind him. Acosta third in line, and I think that is Brandon Walter back there. No, it looks like Papineau actually in there as well, in the 37. Papineau doing a good job basically erasing the negatives of having to start from the back since he had an end-of-line penalty. He is up 14 positions. Walters beat him on that. He's up 21.
That is really, really remarkable there from Walter to be able to do that and get their way up forward, but still a lot of this race to go. We jump over here with Cody Precker. Precker in that machine just working around behind Josh Conker in that 35. Now he is going to have that high line right to his outside, and that calmness there from him, that is exactly the kind of thing you want to see.
Yes, he's boxed in right now, so he's got to stay calm. Don't want to panic in this situation as they tick off into lap 8, and now a huge push happening around the outside as suddenly Daniels had a fire lit under him and tries to see if he can bring Chris Hudson to the 4, but Dinkle doesn't like the looks of that. He is going to block off that line, and instead Daniels says, okay, let's go 3 wide.
Oh, this is where things can get a little bit hairy here, Joe. Cars getting around. That's Conker very, very squirrely. And that was Charles Sumner down to the apron.
A lot of evasive action, but the 19 gets turned. 37 gets a piece of him. And a few more scatter trying to avoid. Only Papineau, I think, really had big damage out of that. There was a bit of a hit on Rick Barbary. So he didn't get away completely clean on that.
No, he didn't. And here we focus in on that number 37. I'm not sure if that was just a little bit of a rough push through the corner, exactly what it was that got everybody turned. Oh, no, that was the 19 trying to come down a lane and not realizing there was a car right to his inside.
Yeah, that all starts from that 3 wide that you mentioned and people kind of bailing out. I believe trying to make out, Josh Conker and Charles Sumner were the 2 that went down onto the apron. And then from there, those that were kind of dodging around, including the 19, went up high, didn't realize he wasn't clear low, and runs into the aid of Byron McDonald.
Well, and Joe, as you said, that's really what can happen when you get that jumbled up kind of 3 wide action that goes on. Very, very tricky to try to navigate that when you don't know what the other cars are doing. That unpredictability is the worst thing in the world when you're running a super speedway race.
Papineau's back out, but the car is looking in absolutely atrocious condition. Hasn't been able to come down into pit lane to take some repairs, but I'm pretty certain he's just going to have to plod around at the back of the field from here because there's not going to be much speed in it. And our other driver involved, the 19, what does Barbary's car look like? I haven't had a chance to really take a glance at that one. And interestingly, pretty much everybody is in, as there's Barbary on your screen right now. And from this angle, I'm not seeing anything. The left front looks a little buckled. And maybe the left rear, a little bit of damage. Oh, but he missed his pit stall. Well, that's not going to help.
Missed it by a big long mile there. That is going to be a massive reverse. He's got to be careful not to trip the iRacing system and get a penalty for that. It's like lots of drivers opting to take tires here as well as a little bit of splash of fuel.
Well, there are 2 drivers that think like you at the start here, DJ. Sumner and Kalen are the only 2 that said track position's more important. I'm staying out. Dinkel will come back out in second. And honestly, Dinkel didn't lose a whole lot of track position in that just because everybody came in. So that worked out well in their favor. But everybody at the back of the field is going to have to re-rack and hope that they can stay out of any issues, as we've already caught back up to the pace car here on the back stretch. Papineau and Barbary naturally are taking extensive repairs while they wait for that pace car to come back around.
Yeah, and that is the one good news. If you do get a little bit of damage here, you are going to have plenty of time to be able to do that, to be able to get those repairs done. By the way, just hearing over the radio there that Charles Sumner has some damage to the car, and it sounds like he is going to be pitting in this time by.
Yeah, I see on the very front, there's a tiny little buckle on there. And I guess in the case of this style of racing, you really need it to be just pristine to keep your speed up. So yeah, Sumner probably better to run in and see if he can get that back in working condition. And we're understanding that Kalen is going to be heading into pit as well. So that's going to release Dinkel and Daniels back to the front where they were before. And I can already see that Sumner is making motion that he's going to be pitting in.
Yeah, indeed he is, and that may just be a little bit of a strategic play there for him, maybe trying to pick up a point for it leading the race. But there is Sumner coming in. Is Kalen coming in? There he goes. Okay, he is going to commit to the line.
Yep, so Kalen's in, and that releases everybody else to carry on. So interesting call there. I guess everybody just trying to top off fuel from here to open up the options, because we did see that last night as well. In the other Dega race, where pretty much everybody came in almost every time, even if they weren't getting tires. They were limited on tires that series too. But it's an interesting change in strategy that I've seen compared to previous seasons here at Talladega, where it's just always pit, doesn't matter, as you'll be able to maybe make it up as the race carries on, I think is the ideology. But I think, do we have the lights off here? Is this still on?
I believe they're off, Joe. I think we're going back to green next time by.
The drivers are not acting like it. This is, okay, now they're starting to get sorted out. I was going to say, this is the sloppiest lines I've ever seen, and I think they're finally kind of getting together, but they took their sweet time to show some semblance of rows. And now they're starting to stack up a little bit, maybe just everybody trying to get their way forward without having to come steaming into this thing as we watch on board with Cody Evanson, who's going to be restarting from third after starting this race in 12th. Now, this is going to be slightly different because the drivers are allowed to go as soon as the pace car peels in. So when the iRacing pace car is on the lane, it is up to the leader to decide when he wants to hit the gas pedal.
Well, but as you said earlier, Joe, getting a jump here in super speedway racing, not always the best way to be able to get going. You actually want to be going with the pack, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Trent Dinkle waiting a little bit longer than would be expected and trying to deliberately not get a jump on the field.
As for those that got caught up in that wreck, Barbary is still out in 24th. Papineau is down in 27th. So not out of it. Papineau's gotten, well, a clip on it. It's not a clean one. So the front has been replaced, but I guess all they had was a broken one because it doesn't look quite good right now. And the pace car is going to leave them be. So are we going to see the 9 take off immediately, or is he going to sit and wait? I think he's sitting waiting just a little bit. Now he's on the loud pedal. I was going to say, I know if it was me, I would not want to sit there and cruise along at 70 miles an hour for the whole way up to the line. But they've broken apart from those behind, and Josh Daniels has a mighty pusher, and I think Cody Evanson there in the 36.
Yeah, indeed, that is Cody giving him a big push through the corner even. That's a little bit gutsy here for this early on in the race, but it's certainly working out, and he is going to hook up right to the back of the bumper of that 77 machine and give him a big old shove down the backstretch.
Not completely ahead, both of them, so they can't both get down. And Daniels doesn't look like he wants to try and dive away yet. It's a little looked up to the high side from the 36, and then he gets back in behind the 77. Bottom line starting to get some organization now, and Trent Dinkle getting some help from behind as they fly around to start lap 14.
And that's going to be Dinkle's teammate there behind him, Abner Acosta, in that number 5 machine. So some team communication probably happening there. Ooh, Cody Evanson looking a little bit squirrely here in that 36.
And it's interesting how it's come back to this yet again. It is private label team hype that seem to have quite the stranglehold on things and are leading the way. But Love Racing, with Josh Daniels being the biggest representative in recent seasons for that team, is trying to make a fight for it. And he actually had Cody Evanson in the top 5 in the points. So it's team versus team up here at the front.
Yes, it is, as they continue to go around here, working it around, seeing what can play out as they try to get going. Another little push here from Cody Evanson as they get going. Dinkle falling behind a little bit, and that's going to be Conquer up to the outside.
So now down to the bottom, Daniels and his teammate Evanson are going to hold and hug the yellow line. That is going to put at the very front of that top line, Waldo Walden instead. Look at them flirting with that yellow line. Now, you may have been noticing that and wondering, why don't they race in that big wide expanse? Well, they're not allowed to, especially if they gain positions. If they give away positions, they are allowed to race below there. But otherwise, you cannot race beneath the yellow line.
Yeah, indeed. And so drivers have to be very, very careful about that. And as you come around on the corners, that is particularly difficult on those cars, as you do not want to high side the cars at all. They can really throw off the handling. As there you can see, though, Daniels and Evanson being able to pull in front of Dinkle and Acosta. The high line now losing a little bit of energy. This kind of repeating what we saw before, Joe.
I was looking backwards to see what our packs look like, and somehow Charles Sumner's dropped off, and he is mighty slow. It's only 174. I'm not sure. Surely he's not down on horsepower here because he didn't have a big hit. And I can't think that that damage is just this bad because these guys up at the front are running in the mid 190s right now. So he really is the one that needs and wants a caution.
Yeah, indeed, and he almost got one. Looked like there was a little bit of a wreck on the backstretch that got handled out onto the apron. I'm listening to Sumner. He's running about 175s right now. Everybody else running about 183. So I think there may be just a wee little bit of engine damage there to Charles Sumner.
Barbry's also dropping off the pack. He's only running 172s. Papineau, impressively, is holding on to a pair of friends at the very back. You might be able to see him in the screen here. Nope, looks like he's a little too far behind. But up at the front, it is still a very large main pack, currently being led by Daniels Evanson in second. Trent Dinkle still sitting in third. And yet again, Love Racing and Private Label are both paired up here at the front. Josh Conker as well, actually. So it's more than paired up because Conker, another one of those Private Label drivers.
Yeah, indeed he is. Oh, there is Evenson. I was saying that car was looking a little bit squirrely easier.
Oh, and somebody gets banged to the inside. Thankfully does not result in a wreck. I think that was Corey Precker that maybe got a piece of that. I'm double checking. Yeah, that was a 35 who got hit from the side. I'm not sure who it was, but Evanson through the grass keeps it rolling. And I'm sure he's thankful that we don't have situations here in iRacing where the grass can get collected on the front because he could be overheating right now because of that.
Yeah, indeed. That could have really, really hurt him back as we watch here. He's able to fall back in line behind the 99 of Brandon Walter, Chris Hudson, and Waldo Walden. There behind him, Hudson working on that high line a little bit. Waldo Walden was running the high line there as well, but he has now slipped back down into line here on the low side.
Wow. What started as a very timid start to this race has suddenly, since the last restart, almost exploded here with all kinds of goings on. But the top side is going to continue to try and see if they can make some inroads on this one with Chris Hudson getting the push. Oh, and top side getting some big friends. Private Label likes the looks of that, but I don't think Hudson is interested in helping them. He's going to try to carry on the ultra high side. No, ducking back down to the bottom. Private Label is an army today.
Yeah, indeed they are, Joe, and that just goes to show you what can happen when you have those teammates around you. It is absolutely crucial that you are in good communication with Dinkle, Acosta, and Conker running 1, 2, 3. Private Label just blocking out everybody else.
Wow, unbelievable stuff there. And that was, it just looked so coordinated is what amazed me. They all made the move almost at the same time. We're hearing that Ricky Barbary is slow at the bottom, may have blown his engine. He's off the racing line. I think we're going to be safe to not have a caution here.
I think we are as well. Chris Hudson still resolutely working on that high line. Looks like Clayton Ham there behind him in the 73 of Dan McLaren. The only three that are there, but only 3 cars up on that line, Joe. You need more energy to get a good run.
The odd man out for a long time there was Chris Hudson, the only non-private label driver. In fact, he's running independently from what we understand. So he's potentially got no friends out there, but he's working the system pretty well, I must say. Josh Daniels going to be able to go underneath him. It's Clayton Ham that we see pushing the 43 as we ride on board with Dan McLaren in that 73.
Yeah, indeed, and he's fallen back a little bit there from the 25 of Clayton Ham. He's going to try to get a little bit of a push here. I think that's a result of not wanting to be the one to push the pusher as they continue to go their way around.
He gets right up on the 43, and he's not pushing him really square. That's something that I've also seen recently be a big issue, is drivers just not giving good pushes right up to the center of the bumper, and it tends to cause big wrecks as cars fly off to the side. The top side still composed of about 4 of them. Who's that joining at the back now? That is Walter in the 99, it looks like.
So another private label Team Hype driver trying to get up there to see what he can do. He's going to fall back a little bit, but that's going to give just a little bit more momentum. And there's that energy I was talking about. Chris Hudson getting a nice push from Clayton Ham. He's going to be able to get his way up into the lead.
Yep, Clayton Ham is definitely using whatever he can to get both of those up there, but a little bit longer line around the outside. They fell back briefly, and now momentum off the banking goes back in favor. Big wobble from Clayton Ham, and well, make that 3 wide. The 99 doesn't want to work with anybody. 43 ducks low. Those behind him kind of want to get down there, but the 73 can do no such thing. Walter finds an opening, and in the end, it is going to be McLaren who gets hung out to dry.
Yeah, indeed it is. He is going to be praying to try to find an area to come down on right there, but Trent Dinkle giving him no room. Big fan out there in the back.
Wow, not sure what's going on back there, if they had to take avoiding action or what. Ooh, and we've been getting some bad bumps, including the very second place car getting hit and turned around. Unfortunately, Conker's going to get a piece of it, and Trent Dinkle as well. I don't see anybody else with major damage, but I don't know if we had some more contacts. I believe a little touch from the 5, but he may have gotten away with it.
Let's go back and see what happened here. I think this was just a matter of a little bit of a bump through the corner potentially there. You can see the 25 moving down, contact there with Trent Dinkle. The two of them just cascading across the track.
Really unfortunate. That sort of looked sketchy for a minute. Yeah, there it is. You can see that bad bump. Let's watch on board with Precker. He sees it unfolding, sees lots of smoke, and just before the gap closes on him, he manages to sneak through.
Yeah, very lucky to be able to make that work there for Corey Precker. He's going to be thanking his lucky stars. Wow.
And yeah, just another half second. He would have been collected that in a big way. He tried not to lift, and it worked this time, but sometimes that doesn't quite end the way you want it to. Hudson is going to be your new leader after that. Pushed his way to the front and stayed out of the trouble, but that happened to the car in second place, so even being up at the front is not safe here.
Yeah, there goes my theory, Joe, of how to be able to handle that car as much as possible. So I don't know where you want to be in this field.
Well, in the pits, apparently, because once again, everybody is in. Any takers out? I do not see a single one. Maybe the 62. Nope, he's coming in as well. He kind of hesitated. Jose Medina going to be the only one. And this time, Charles Sumner is able to catch back up to the back of the group. Let's hope he doesn't drop it this time.
Yeah, indeed. Also hearing that we've got some black flags, potential pit lane speeding penalties for Romero and Josh Daniels.
Ooh. McLaren and Hudson came back out very quickly. And that looks like fuel only to me, 6.3 and 7.8. Let me double check to see if they actually took tires. Maybe only left sides. Nope, that looks like fuel only on my screen. So that gave them a bit of an advantage over the others.
Well, as we've said, Joe, one of the things about these next-gen cars and these next-gen tires is the fact that they don't wear as much. These tires really don't wear too particularly harshly, and so if you're able to just cool them down over the course of a yellow, you may be able to get away with extending the life of the tire a little bit and not having to change them.
Is there an EOL penalty for Romero and Daniels here? Because I saw Romero get a penalty at first. Looks like he's down to 23rd. Where is Daniels, though? Has he served that? No, he has not. So maybe that's not an EOL. Oh, but they did have the black flags cleared. Okay, so that's what happens. They're good to go now. It looks like that was a bit of a glitch. So that's why they are not having to serve those. Stewards investigated it, realized it wasn't a deserved black flag, and they're both good to go. Barbary is officially done. He's retired. Medina's still taking some repairs. Everybody else back out on track. Clayton Ham, the last of them. He got tangled up in that wreck in a bad way after being up at the front of the field.
Yeah, indeed. So everything's starting to space itself out here, and about a quarter of the way through the race here, Joe, just a little bit over, and everything is a little bit calm. I like what I'm seeing here out of these drivers. They're kind of taking my advice a little bit, keeping everything relatively together. It's at the end of these runs, after we've run for about 10 or 15 laps, that we really start to see drivers get a little bit antsy and try to move their way forward.
Yeah, it's getting less organized than it was in those first couple laps. We're on lap 25 and haven't had a hugely long race, so we're not really concerned about the clock quite yet. The lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to get restarted next time by.
All right, and now for Chris Hudson and for Dan McLaren, this is going to be that same situation. You don't want to jump too far ahead in the pack. You want to be running with everybody else. This is pack racing by its very definition.
Well, checking to see where our onboards are right now and if any of them are still up at the front. And highest is actually 6 with Eric Hogg. Walter Walden's still up there, it looks like, as well. But so many of our cameras are back towards the back of the field. Here is Eric now in the 89.
Yeah, indeed, Eric, there you can see him talking with his team a little bit. He'll probably have some spotters and a crew chief there to be able to talk to, working on that fuel strategy as well as where everybody is on track.
Yep, racing for Parabellum in his Ford Mustang this season. And probably happy to be this far up the field as he gets ready to go. Getting some comments about his hair length from the peanut gallery, to which I point to, and now I am drawing a blank. Kyle Petty. Kyle Petty, that's what I was thinking of. So, which I'm sure for some really is not a positive point, but, you know, it's not unheard of for long-haired NASCAR drivers. As we get the pace car coming in, and it's going to be McLaren who's given control.
Indeed, waiting to get on that loud pedal. Waiting. Still, he's doing a good job of backing everything up here. This is the kind of jump you want for super speedway racing.
Giving it a long time. Waiting, now he's going, but he gets a jump. So you're going to get swallowed up here. I think the 77 is going to try and join with him, but I think that's a much more solid beginning for the 43. Hudson's easily going to have the lead away. Does he take it down to the bottom line is the question. No, everybody behind him goes to the bottom line. It was a big jump at first. Now he's going to abandon on Cody Evanson, who had pushed him up there, and just lets him fall to the back.
Indeed, and a big bump there from Dan McLaren to Chris Hudson. Joshua Daniels jumping up to the high lane there, trying to see what he can do. Now they go in the 26, and behind there, Michael Wick trying to pull himself up onto that low lane.
As they come out of turn 4 once again towards the tri-oval. A lot of drivers jumping to the bottom. Daniels up to the top, thinking he could work with his teammate. Maybe that it will work, you never know. I saw tandems last night absolutely shoot to the front, but so far I'm not seeing huge inroads. Now it's starting to pick up. They go by Acosta. They go by almost went by Eric Hogg there in the 89, and then they started to drop once again.
Well, and that's Byron McDonald and Charles Sumner up there on that high line with them. And remember, you need that energy. You need that momentum to really get it going. A couple of drivers switching around lanes there, just trying to find the best place to get some speed.
We ride on board with Sumner. He's been able to hold on to the field this time. And the 98 is using that high line, sitting behind the 8 of McDonald's, as he's also got Trent Dingle. Now, did Trent Dingle get his damage repaired, or is he still suffering? Because I didn't ever get a chance to take a look, and he does have a little bit on the front there, just the tiniest bit.
Yeah, just the tiniest bit, but it doesn't look like it's slowing him down like it was with Charles Sumner earlier. He's able to run in that 180 range nice and easy as there we ride on board with the number 9 driver.
Using that slipstream to catch back up to his fellow damaged driver in that 98. And a little bit of wiggling back and forth amongst them in that line, but nothing too crazy to worry about at this point. Sumner sits and rides 4th in line of his row. Looks like Hudson's got a pretty good push from McLaren. Those two choosing to stick together up to now.
Yeah, they're working together well here, and I think it's kind of one of those things, Joe. If the shoe ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't worry about trying to get it. I know I mixed analogies.
I was about to ask.
I was going to roll with it, and it just came out.
I wondered what your shoes can do that mine can't, but right now, the 77 gets a big push from his teammate, and Evanson can't quite get him fully ahead. So, oh, nope, he comes back off the banking, and there's the shove. Nice, gentle bump to just launch him forward. The 8's going to follow with all 3 say, thank you very much. Let's go to the bottom.
And Trent Dinkle there thought about trying to move down there. I think he sees that momentum is going out, but it's going to be him and the 98 of Charles Sumner up high, trying to work their way around. Brandon Waltz are going to be there behind them, and a couple other cars starting to form, so there still could be enough there to really get that good push up on the high line.
Yeah, but with Sumner having a bit of damage, and plus that's Dinkle, so that's 2 on the high line leading the way that might have a slightly damaged car. We don't know if they can take full tilt here, and it certainly doesn't look like it because they continue to drop. Now they get a friend in the number 5, but they are flying upon the 43. Is he going to join them? Well, Sumner says no. He might regret that decision, though.
Yeah, that's not going to be great there, as Sumner's going to be hung out to dry up on that super high lane. Acosta going to give a nice little bump there to the 43, and they're going to push themselves along as they try to get that in. Sumner's got to try to get everything back up under him. He's going to go back down to the low line.
Seems like this has become a bit of a bottom feeder race. We see the high lines work occasionally, but nobody seems willing to commit to it, DJ. Everybody seems to want to just use it as a means to an end rather than the end itself.
Yeah, indeed, Joe, and I'm not really sure why. And we saw a little bit of this at Daytona as well. With the iRacing simulator and the way the physics are modeled, these next gens just don't like to seem to run the high lane as much as the low line.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what's going on. As up at the front, Daniels and Evanson trying to get a breakaway. Not sure if they're going to be able to do that, though, as the draft is just so powerful here. McDonald's behind them in the number 8, closing up immediately as they head towards the tri-oval. And the good news is this race is actually going by relatively quickly. We're getting close to the halfway mark already.
Yeah, we are indeed, and with the pit stops that we've seen, I don't really think we're going to have to worry about pit stops or anything like that. This is about getting to the point, though, where we've seen these other yellows come out over the course of the race. Drivers getting a little bit antsy, a little bit hesitant to try to push themselves forward, and so they're going to have to be a little bit careful here. Try to not bring out that yellow, get us a nice big green flag run.
Yeah, we're only 9 laps into the stint right now since the last refueling for everybody. And I really do mean everybody, because they were all in. We've only lost the one car of Barbry's number 19. And everybody else has been followed the leader down onto pit lane as soon as we get that caution, nearly every time. So out of the tri-oval, Daniels so far has done a pretty good job when he gets up to the front. He doesn't seem to be willing to give it away whenever he gets up there, and he does hug that bottom line very, very closely a lot of the time. So it might wind up being rather difficult for the 77 to get overtaken.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe, and specifically looking at Cody Evanson, and we talked about this before he went off through the grass, that car just looks a little bit twitchy. He doesn't exactly look as planted as Joshua Daniels. Daniels has that car completely grounded in. It is not moving anywhere. It is solid. Evanson just keeps wanting to sort of fidget all over the racetrack.
Which, it can't be anything due to setup, because this is a fixed setup series. So they're going to put a lap on Jose Medina. So he goes further laps down in that number 24. Does the right thing, though, stays out of the way. He's not in a race with these guys. He just wants to try and get whatever points he can.
And our director, Ryan Bauer, actually brought up a good point. What some of that twitchiness could be the steering ratio, how much he has to put into the wheel to get it to move. And Cody could just have a little bit more sensitive of a ratio there, and that's what's causing all of that twitchiness from the car.
We'll keep an eye on it. If we get to chat with him post-race, I'd certainly love to ask and see if he felt it inside the car, for it's all in our heads. And the STP number 43 of Chris Hudson starting to drop back despite having some impressive pushers behind him. Acosta, Dinkle, I think Kalen in there as well. And I believe Brandon Walter in the 99.
Yeah, Walter's back there trying to push as well. This is Mark Kalen up on the high line as well. We haven't really talked about the Waterback Racing driver all that much here today, but he is starting to push here a little bit more, trying to get in on the back of Dinkle. He currently runs in 12th place.
Yeah, Kalen, sort of an odd man out in this group. Not completely, though, because they've also got Hudson, and now looks like McLaren up there, too. But you've got Acosta, you've got Dinkle, and you've got Walter. All three of those are private label cars. They do seem to be trying to stick together a little bit here, which makes sense. That's often one of the big talking points here at super speedways, is finding your teammates, and two heads are better than one.
Yeah, indeed. And if you're able to run in that 2-3 car train like that, it just allows you to have a little bit more comfortability. You know who's going to be pushing you. You know where that push is going to be coming from. You know when it's going to be coming. And so that is absolutely crucial to have. And as we've seen in a lot of these races that are pack races like this, private label Team Hype just doing what they do best and running a good, clean, solid race.
That was Ham you saw in the 25, who is the latest to get lapped. So we're down to 25 cars left on the lead lap, appropriately enough. Coming around to complete lap 37 of this race. 42 to 43 laps is your midway race mark. Doesn't mean much more than that we're on the other side of the hill. And a little bit of shaking around back there as McLaren and Hudson had sort of bobbles coming off the tri-oval, but looks like they've got it under control now. They continue seeing if that high line will actually do anything worthwhile. And to their credit, it does seem like it does sometimes.
Yeah, it does seem like it gets that pull, but then it just seems like it loses a little bit of momentum. Oh, big hit there. That was not a clean push.
No, it was not. Who are we riding on board with there? Because that was very scary, and it looked like it was up towards the front of the pack.
I believe that was Carlos Romero coming into the back of Brandon Walter.
Yeah, so that's the 48. He wasn't at the front of a big pack, but he was definitely kind of in the middle of a lot of people. That could have certainly taken out a number of them over the course of this race. As there goes another driver to get lapped. And not often we're going to say this, but Josh Conker goes a lap down from the leaders.
Yeah, that is a very, very strange sentence to say there, but Conker with that damage, just falling back, not having anybody to run with, and he is going to go a lap down.
Oh, and McLaren gets hung out to dry this time. Hudson, oh, but they're bobbling. They're weaving around. Let's get it together, boys. Don't need another incident at this stage. Calms down slightly, and McLaren not losing out as much as I would have thought. Maybe that side draft helping him stay up.
That's helping him stay up there a little bit, but now he's really starting to lose out there. Kalen able to get by him. Brandon Walter able to get by him. It looks like McLaren's now going to try to slide back into line. This is running on board with Mark Kalen. A little bit wiggly there coming through the corner. You can see, and there, Kalen gets what he wanted. He slots down into the low side.
But private label continues to connect up together on the high side. Also got McLaren coming down behind him now. So McLaren, after getting hung out, is coming back forward because he wants that track position. Looks like he's going to bring along Carlos Romero as well. Coming towards the tri-oval. getting ever closer to that halfway mark. We're only on to lap 16 of our fuel stint here, so still tons of time before they'll need to stop in, but I'm pretty certain they will need at least one more stop to get to the finish on fuel.
Yeah, I believe you're right, Joe. If my math is correct, and that's always a terrifying sentence for me to say, but I believe they will need at least one more stop. Here comes Abner Acosta. Nice little bump. That's how you give a good bump draft there to Chris Hudson, trying to push that 43 along. But again, there's just not enough cars running in a good, clean line up on that high side to really get that energy to propel them forward.
Yeah, this group couldn't quite see the whole thing in that camera shot there, but it goes back to 16th place Charles Sumner. From there, there's a break off with Besaw, Gandy, Papineau, Johnson, Christian, all in a single file line, and actually looking like they're very cooperative right now. So they could gain up to them. In fact, let me take a look at the pace time comparison for them. Last time across, a 50.2 for Sumner, 50.6 for Besaw. Well, that was slower, so maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong here.
Yeah, not sure exactly, but Sumner there riding around behind the 57 still of Zemke. They're not completely off the pace. I think they're just holding back here a little bit, Joe.
Yeah, that might be the case. And yeah, Besaw is already caught up. We couldn't see it from that onboard, but he is right on the back of him. He pulls out, though, as soon as he gets in the slipstream. Papineau is going to take over for him. And Gandy as well. So we watch the front cross the line to start lap 43. Being led by Josh Daniels. Cody Evanson remains loyal to his teammate up to this stage.
Yeah, he hasn't backed off quite yet, and as I said, wait until those final 15 minutes or so for things to get very, very crazy. That could be the area where we see some of those team tactics go out the window, but as for right now, doesn't necessarily look like we're going to have any problems there riding on board with Besaw Jr. as he tries to catch up to the back of that field.
Yep, seems pretty content here on the bottom. The VR user probably has a nice wide-angle view here of what all is going on. But Hudson up at the front on the high side is getting an excellent push from Acosta. In fact, Acosta could jump down if he wanted to, and he does. Oh, and he turns. Hudson comes back up. He's going to get Daniels. He is going to get Evanson. He is going to get a bunch of the major players today, and that's the big one.
That indeed is the big one there. Just a miscommunication on where to go between the two drivers, leading to all of that kerfluffle happening before us.
Oh, Walter got in it. Daniels got in it. Let's see who else. The 8 of McDonald's. Looks like McLaren also got wrecked. Mike Witt. Zemke got caught up in that. I see Eric Haug as well. Trying to see if we had anybody who escaped from that. And I do believe, looks like Waldo Walden had a good run. Here's from onboard Sumner. Oh, is he going to get woed up? Can he avoid it all? I think he did.
I think he did as well. A little tiptoe through the tulips there for Charles Sumner. My goodness.
Whew. Great heads up. You know, you say these cars have a harder time slowing down, but I've seen some impressive misses. Zemke, you can see, unfortunately not amongst them, but just wound it up as soon as he saw it start happening. And a little bit of luck. And Sumner managed to stay out of all the cars that seemed to be flying at him from every side.
Yeah, indeed. That you called it out there, Joe, and you called it out perfectly. That certainly was the big one as it happened, taking out a large chunk of the field. I don't know if there's pretty much anybody of your former front runners who was able to escape without a lot of damage. I think maybe Acosta and Daniel and McDonald, the only three.
We had a few that were given a meatball flag, which means they must come in to take repairs because the car is considered unsafe. That's Brandon Walter, Eric Hogg, and Josh Conker. Conker's day just is not going well today. He used to have some pretty good luck and some amazing determination. He's not out of it yet. He can still get back out there, but my hopes are not high. He's proven me wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. But, I mean, that's the second time he was already a lap down there, and that is going to just be very, very tough for him to come back in and out.
Did Dinkel manage to avoid all of it? Because he's carrying on.
I believe he did.
He had a very short stop, only 10.6 seconds. I'm going back to see what his view of the incident looked like, because I would have thought he'd been in the thick of it. No. He was the lucky one that was immediately behind Acosta. So he was luckily able to dodge out of the way just in time. So only he and Acosta were basically ahead of the wreck, if you can consider Abner ahead of the wreck that he caused. But not the question is whether or not Acosta will get some sort of penalty out of that at the next race. What the stewards will think of that. If he does get an end of line, it's going to make life very frustrating, because the next race, oh, actually, no, I take that back. Next race is Dover. Yes, we're covering Darlington as the next one, and that's what I was thinking he would have to be sent to the back of the line for, but no, it's going to be Dover, which could be a bit more of a mixed bag, as it will be possible to pass there, but also usually a very wild race in and of itself. Okay, well, we've just passed the halfway point, and we've had another round of pit stops. I'm curious are we able to get to the finish from here, though, on the fuel?
I think we just might be able to, Joe. It's going to be a little bit tight, and I think if we have one more caution, that should seal it, but I think they can make it.
Yeah, so it's going to be less than 42 or 43 laps. In fact, it's going to be less than 40 laps exactly, I think. Yeah, with 46 here. We're hearing that some of the teams are suspecting about 44 laps under green. So it could wind up being a little tight. I'd almost say that the way we've seen some drivers easily get back up to the front, it wouldn't be a bad idea if we get another yellow to just top off to be sure.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's probably the best option to go. You can make it, but you don't want to have to be worrying about fuel saving in that final stage of the race. You want to be able to go full foot to the floor. You don't want to have to be doing any lifting and thinking about running out.
Well, and the other thing that we have to remember in that, if we do wind up with a green-white checkers, the last thing you want to do is to be out of fuel.
Exactly. That's a very, very good point, Joe. I hadn't even thought of that.
So 49 to go. Okay, my math is off. Again, why do we keep doing math on this channel? I have no idea why we keep trying to do that. So yeah, that's by the time they get going, yeah, I would top up if I'm anybody and we get another yellow out there, because I don't think they're going to be getting to the finish under green, and certainly not even with a single yellow to get to the end here. We are down to 21 drivers left on the lead lap, not all of them in the greatest of conditions. Chris Hudson is just getting back out there with most of the front of the car, unfortunately, missing. But we are doubled up. We're getting ready to roll on lap 48.
Indeed, we are. Everybody's starting to get a double file here again, and we are ready to go back racing, Joe.
All right, so I mentioned Acosta avoided it. He is our championship leader coming in, so he's sitting in a good position. Daniel's, unfortunately, a big victim of that incident with a lot of damage, so that hurts his championships hopes today. Trent Dinkel managed to avoid it. Where is Pat Harvey, though? Pat Harvey looks like he may have gotten away from it because his car looks clean from what I can see in that 67. So He sits fourth. Evanson, though, definitely got clobbered on that one. Pace car is in, and Dinkel has control. Green flag is out, and he accelerates away. And he and his teammate were absolutely coordinated on that one, because as soon as they got going, Acosta slots in behind him.
He does indeed. So a good jump there on the field for them. Bobby Anderson, the next car in line. That's going to be the number 2. That's a name we haven't really called out a whole lot here today. Pretty single file and low line there down on the inside.
They're going to be able to get back together. Well, it's not going to be single file anymore. The 2 of Anderson likes his chances. Haven't talked about him a whole lot here at the front. He has been kind of hovering around there. And Bobby started this race from 26th position. He's going to take the lead away, and he's made himself into a dark horse.
He has indeed. Would you look at that? Bobby Anderson up 25 positions here, able to really push his way forward. He's now going to have Trent Dinkel working behind him. Both cars looking a little bit squirrely before they cross over the start-finish line.
Now we've hit that halfway mark. It wasn't 42 or 43. Again, math not my strong suit, apparently, as the bottom line becomes one long snake, other than a few danglers on the high side. I think Amassi in the 05 amongst those. I see Mark Kalin up there, but it goes all the way down to Eric Papineau, who is in 19th position.
And they're a big move by Trent Dinkel and Abner Acosta to push themselves up forward to the front, moving around Bobby Anderson, Carlos Romero trying to follow them through. It's now going to be up to Bobby Anderson to try to give a little bit of a push. Charles Sumner riding around back in 5th in all of this.
At another official DNF, Brandon Walter calls it a night. There's a little dodge to the inside from Dinkel. He's got to be careful that his own teammate doesn't turn him around as well, as he was very close to the bumper. And it was Acosta that made that mistake last time out as well. So the 48 of Carlos Romero, now 3rd in line. Bobby Anderson didn't fall too far back in 4th. And Charles Sumner in a scraped up, dented number 98 is somehow within your top 5.
Oh, it just goes to show you there, Joe, persistence can play out if you just keep your mind to it. And Dinkel here, though, continuing to lead. Romero closing in behind. Bobby Anderson, Sumner, Cracker in there behind as well. We hadn't called his name in a while. He's been able to keep himself just quietly in contention after falling down the order a little bit earlier.
Costa jumping out of line for a brief moment. I wonder if some of these guys who we keep seeing poking their nose out are trying to cool the car potentially. Because Abner is running very close behind our leaders. We hop on board with Walden now back in 7th position.
Yeah, indeed, Joe. I think that's exactly what could be happening. Just trying to get a little bit of cool air on to that front radiator, cool down the engine a little bit. It is still a pretty toasty day out there. Only 79 degrees ambient temperature, but the track temperature is up at about 105 right now. And so for these drivers, they've just got to try to keep the cars a little bit chilly, especially if they've gotten a little bit of right front damage like we know Abner has.
Just noticed the livery there on Walden with the dog on his hood. I'm hoping we get the chance to chat with him, find out who that is he's got up there. And we saw McLaren get lapped once again. He's now 2 laps down. If we do get a caution, lucky dog is in the hands of Scotty Johnson, who's 22nd, but he's also out there completely by himself. So he's probably going to get gobbled up here pretty soon, because he's coming into turn 3 as we see our leaders already halfway down the backstretch.
Indeed they are, and nobody wanted to be the brave soul here to run up on the high line. Absolutely everybody deciding to run low after that last big incident. I think this has definitely scared people down a little bit, and everybody just wanting to get to the end of the race here at this point.
Yeah, I think that was too many cautions for most of their liking. Definitely too big a wrecks for the liking of some. Just wanted to try and see this get to the checkers. Oh my goodness. Do not like how Acosta keeps wobbling around behind the number 9. And he backs off before the corner at the very least.
And And that is the 62 of Mark Kalin, one of the few drivers being able to run up on the high side. That's Byron McDonald there behind them. Now, this is all the way back in the field. This is around for 16th position.
And Evanson is still on the lead lap. He's the one at the front of that bottom train. I thought he got collected in there. Yeah, he did. And now I'm seeing the damage on the nose of his car. Looks like he's got some on the right-hand side as well as the rear. So we continue to watch the front fields come across the line, starting lap 54 of this race. And I'm hearing Cody Evanson over the radio saying he should not be at the front of his group. He's going to let everybody by with all the damage that he has and tries to jump back into line. But out of turn 2 onto the back stretch, our front group, Dinkel, Acosta, Romero, Anderson, Sumner are your top 5.
That's somebody down to the apron there with a whole bucket of steam coming out of the car. That's Scotty Johnson. I think that's a blown engine.
It is indeed. He's going to have to get back in and take some more repairs. As, nope, Conker's not back out yet. Medina is. Looking to see if Hogg has returned. Yeah, he's gotten his required repairs done. And then Walter, we know, is out of the race himself. So those were our 3 that were compromised from that big wreck through 1 and 2 that got the meatball flag. Coming back to Corey Precker once again into 6th place, sitting patiently behind the Tropicana number 98 of Charles Sumner. Closes in on the rear bumper, but doesn't look to be in any hurry to try and push.
No, I think here Precker is in the same position we're seeing pretty much the entire field in. He is just happy to be where he is. Now wait here for another 10 laps or so. I've got to think there's going to be a little bit of frustration that starts to build. Race car drivers can only be patient for so long, Joe, before they have to try to go for a move.
Yeah, I concur on that one. As another push from Acosta on Dinkel. They try to get as much of a buffer as they can, but Romero only follows them easily forward from the rest of the pack, and they're going to get swallowed up once again. We watch from our leader, Trent Dinkel, looking back at his teammate. Acosta nudging up to the rear bumper, giving him little pushes here and there, and now they head into turn 3 once again. And that was a perfect look at the damage we were describing earlier on the nose of Acosta.
Yeah, you can see that hood just turned up a little bit there, and that is not appearing to slow down Abner, it has to be said, but definitely probably affecting the handling of the car a little bit. That may explain why he is so fidgety on the racetrack.
That's a fair point. Down to 40 to go. So theoretically, we are within the window to get to the finish, but I doubt we'll see anybody try to get in and try to pit early to have the fuel to go to the finish. That is the 89 of Hogg there, who stays out of the way, goes 8 laps down from the leaders with that move by after he had to have extensive repairs in pit lane.
Yeah, so Hogg there just letting everybody go on by. We focus back here. I believe that's on board the number 2 of Bobby Anderson. Also keeping close behind here, seeing what he can do. Maybe a little bit of a push here from Charles Sumner. No, Charles not going to go for the bump there.
Well, in fact, Charles almost for a moment looked like he wanted to try and go around the 2, then decided against it. Kind of don't blame them. This seems to be the most quiet stage of the race as everybody just ticks off the laps and tries to get to within 15, 10 to go. And then maybe we'll start to see some big moves. Looks like Eric in the background has managed to tuck into the back of that group in his 89. Use that slipstream to try and keep up pace with the front runners, though it won't mean a whole lot with how many laps down he is.
Yeah, indeed. It's just going to be trying to hold on there a little bit to the best of his ability and try to not lose any more position as they continue to go their way around. A big poke out there for Carlos Romero. Again, I think heating starting to come into concern for these drivers, trying to keep those oil and water temperatures down.
Yeah, Scotty Johnson has now left the server after his blown engine. He's done. Chris Hudson, amazingly, is still out there rolling on the lead lap, but that's going to change probably within the next lap, because he's the next one being approached here by these drivers. Thankfully, this has been so single file. Lapping cars looks like it should be quite a lot more of a simpler deal. Is he going to stay to the bottom, or is he going to try and run up to the high side, get out of their way? He's going to run to the high side, it looks like.
Yeah, and I think that's just reading the room a little bit there, Joe, recognizing that everybody's preferring to run low here and not wanting to mess with that. So good heads up there for him. This lead pack will file right on by and carry on as they had been.
So that front group now goes down to Massey in the 05. So 14 drivers in the lead pack vying for position. Incredibly, Josh Daniels is in there in 13th. We're on board with the Massey looking at Daniels, one of our independent drivers here, Tom. And, well, he definitely has the ability to pop his nose out, since there's not really anybody behind him except for the lapped car of Eric in the 89.
Yeah, indeed. Hearing some chatter from drivers back in the pack, just trying to work together, maybe thinking about starting to poke their nose out, start that second lane a little bit. We will have to see what they do.
Yeah, I think a lot of this talk that we're hearing is those without a clean car trying to clarify what they've got and if they've got the speed. Unfortunately, the answer to that from a lot of them is no. But coming around now down to 35 laps to go. Our two private label drivers leading the way have been sitting and carefully rifling off lap after lap at the point of the field.
Yeah, and there another big poke up to the outside for Carlos Romero, trying to see if he can maybe get a little bit of something to happen there, but not going to do anything. This race is frankly just fallen into a little bit of a stalemate here, Joe. Everybody relatively content to ride around where they are.
Well, like I said, I feel like that's the smart choice right now. They really aren't going to gain a whole much. And worth noting that I was checking out on Romero. I forgot that his team is Love Racing. So after he's watched his other two get the limelight for so long in this race, he's picked up the banner after they've dropped it and is carrying the flag.
Yeah, indeed he is. So he is able to do it and continue on there to be able to go do it for his teams. He's going to be very, very happy to be able to keep on doing that as there they go. A little bit more lap traffic and almost a little bit of a battle. This could get a little bit hairy.
Yeah, in fact, that's Zemke and Medina are going to stay out of the way, and then down at the bottom, Evanson as well. But nice heads up by our lapped drivers, knowing they're not really fighting here, or even if they are, it's certainly not, it doesn't carry as much weight as this battle for the lead in the race, and they let them split the trio and carry on down along the backstretch without being interrupted.
Again, Acosta giving a little bit of a bump here, just keeping his teammate ahead. Romero liking to poke his nose out, it seems like, a little bit on corner entry there to just try to see if he can get some of that clean air into that radiator. Also keeping an eye on Anderson and Sumner.
So here's the question, DJ. If you're one of those towards the back of this rather large single file line, let's say you're a Massey, Daniels, Witt, some of those guys, when do you go? Who do you try to go with? Do you want to try and hook up with your teammates? Is it just anybody close to you that's willing to pair up? Can you go?
I think it is absolutely anybody that you can pair up with at this point to be able to try to build momentum. It takes two cars to get that line started, and once that starts to get a little bit of motion, you'll see some more drivers join in the front or the back of that group. You just need to have somebody brave enough to be able to do it with their teammate or whoever they can find.
They still got a ways to go, though, probably, before we'll see any more of them elect to fire off. 32 laps to go, and we've only had, what, I think it's about 4 cautions so far. Don't think we're close to the time limit at this stage, but that can still change as well. And this has been the most single file for the longest time that it has been all race long. The drivers have been running 2 lines for the vast majority of the race, but this is where they all buckle down and think about the future. We're hearing that some of the drivers are predicting they will be short on fuel, so we can expect them in again. Some of that, though, might be affected by where you are in the train. If you're the engine leading, or if you can hang back towards the back of it and just lift and coast.
Exactly, and I definitely think here the drivers out front are going to be using a lot more fuel. Bobby Anderson probably using a little bit more than he'd like as he's falling off the back of Carlos Romero here a little bit. He's going to be able to close in ever so slightly off of turn 2 and close back in there again. The VAR driver, as he comes around, working in there, trying to see what he can do. He's gonna be getting a little bit of that fuel saving, Joe, but I don't think nearly as much as somebody like Acosta, for example.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Acosta's probably got fantastic fuel mileage with how close he's been riding behind Dinkel this entire stint. They are 21 laps into it right now. They're well within the window. They've got probably, yeah, so like half the stint left to go if they want to run it dry. So we won't see them for quite a few more laps. It all just depends on how you want to play it. I'm guessing that we're going to see, based on the number of cautions that we've had, everybody just wait until they run dry or we get that yellow.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I would be doing it here at this point, Joe. I do not want to risk a green flag pit stop here at Talladega. You should be able to make it back out before you lose a lap, but it's going to be close enough that you just don't want to mess with it.
You know, I may be proven wrong here in terms of the clock. I just double-checked on the official one, and we got 21 minutes left to go right now. That's with these 29 laps left, so it's gonna be a bit tight. If we get one more caution, that might put us under a time limit. Yeah,
I think you're right there, Joe, and you are very right. Yeah, 21, let's call it 20 and a half minutes to go here with 28 laps left on the thing, so I think we may even be at time as is.
Wow, so that's a bit surprising. It didn't feel like an overabundance of cautions here today, especially here with this last stint that has been going on for quite a while now. But it's also been the most calm of the stints that we've had, with drivers just kind of sitting and waiting for something to happen or someone else to make a move. As looks like Bobby Anderson continuing to like the distance that he has between himself and Romero. It's been about 3 or 4 car lengths in between 3rd and 4th place for the last many laps now.
Yeah, indeed. And Joe, with this becoming a timed race, that may change up some mentality a little bit about fuel strategy. Will drivers be able to make it to the end now that we are running on that clock, as we presume?
And the other thing to remember is that if they get that caution late and we are unable to make it on time, they're not going to get that green-white checkers. So it becomes a case of you want to be the lead car when it comes down to it at the end, just in case we get that caution, because you don't want to try and be sneaky and then suddenly see your opportunities disappear.
Yeah, exactly. I think now you are starting to get into that zone where you need to make the push. You need to start making the moves. I want to see this second lane starting to form some drivers in the back. It is now go time. It is time to start being aggressive.
Well, nobody's looking like they're interested in that sort of move right now. In fact, if anything, it is spreading apart. I wonder if that number 2 car is trying to just save as much fuel as possible, or maybe Sumner too. Again, it would behoove them to be a lot closer, but I wonder if they're soft shoeing it so much that they're not tucked up behind the drivers ahead. We come across the line, hit 25 laps to go, but we are down to just over 18 minutes left.
Yeah, and those numbers indicate to me that even if we don't get another caution, that we will still be here on a time limit race. So that is going to change absolutely everything. But yeah, you're right, Joe. This entire field, very, very calm right now. Not trying to push, not trying to be aggressive. Everybody looking content.
Don't think we've lost anybody new in recent laps. We still have 18 drivers on the lead lap. Kalen, McDonald, Ham, and Papineau are in a little group off of the main pack. Somebody staying down low there for a brief moment. I think that was Evanson in the number 36. Yes, indeed it was. So he's also making sure that even though he wants as many laps as he can and wants to make sure that he can get a good finish, he's not willing to do it at the expense of his competitors and compatriots. Down the backstretch, are we starting to get an actual breakaway here? Precker's at the tail of our top train. Walden is trying to close in. There you can see it on your screen. Walden's going to make very quick work of it and make it a 7-car field at the front, and I think Harvey is now going to make it a 12-car field as he brings along everybody all the way down to Mike Witt.
Yeah, so everybody's starting to form up a little bit here, maybe getting into position to be able to make those moves. We tick close, about 16 and a half minutes to go here.
This could wind up being quite the nail-biter today. Down the backstretch once again. Still nobody willing to take that gamble and poke their nose out. I got to wonder as well, for these private label cars, is there a decision, is there a team orders of Abner Acosta since he's leading the points? Does he need the victory more than Trent Dinkle? Well, Dinkle's only back from him by 19, so he's got to fight for his own, but they don't want to cost themselves a good team finish. So, man, what do you do in this situation?
I mean, I think they're doing what they need to do right now in terms of just putting themselves in position to run for it. And when you get to the line, just make sure you don't wreck each other. That's what you've got to be able to do. And if I'm team manager on that team right now, I am instilling that into my driver's head, saying, keep doing what you're doing. This is good. We like the pace. And when we get down to the end here, do not turn into one another.
Make it to the finish above all. Wonder if that means maybe it's side drafting that's off the cards. Just use that slingshot, maybe the other racers, to try and get that overtake done. Going to be 15 minutes to go, a little less than that as they cross the line. We watch with Pat Harvey in the 8th position. He's caught up to Waldo Walden in this first group, making it now. Let's see, how many do we have? Looks like 12 on the lead lap in the main group at the front. We ride on board with Pat Harvey currently, that number 67, excuse me, chasing down the 84 of Walden.
Yeah, trying to close in here the best that he can, waiting again for somebody to make that move to the outside lane. Under 15 minutes to go here at Talladega. Everything just an absolute simmering pot here, Joe.
Yeah, the way things have been building, I feel like we are heading to something huge. I don't know if that's going to be a huge wreck or a huge battle. But if it does become anticlimactic, that'll be quite the disappointment today. As we continue to watch from Harvey's perspective forward. He's very much in the middle of this pack currently. And there are our top 3. Dinkle, Acosta, Romero. Love Racing, I'm sure, really wants to try and pull one over on private label. Romero is their last bullet in the chamber.
Yes, he is, and he has been able to... Oh, we just heard that Trent Dinkle will be pitting this lap as well as Bobby Anderson.
That's 31 laps of green flag racing that they ran. Here we go. And Romero's going to join. Sumner shoots to the front, breaks super, super deep. And he gains at least 3 or 4 positions from that. Charles Sumner is up to 3rd.
Wow, that is how you do it there. Little bit of contact there in the pits for Bobby Anderson, it looked like. And Anderson missed his pit stall as a result. We got cars spinning in pit lane.
Think that was Corey Precker. He got turned by, I think, the 20. Oh, absolutely bizarre situation. The 20 got hit from behind. That's why he turned the 35. It was Mike Witt who plowed into him. Let's take another look at this.
So that's Precker coming in, and then boom. Oh, just didn't even see him there and turned right into the side of Precker.
Yeah, that he couldn't have known that was going to be happening. Let's get another angle on it here. Oh. Gandy wanted into his spot too, and well, it worked out because he didn't find it, but he unfortunately accidentally spun another car. Looks like Josh Daniels is in with Tom and Massey joining him, along with Mark Kalin. Acosta, I think, yeah, he is going to be leading now with Sumner chasing him and Romero. But we do have Papineau, Ham, and McDonald that still need to pit. They've been out for 33 laps. I doubt they can get to the finish from here. Oh, no. Sumner was given a black flag for an unsafe exit. Did he go through the grass or did he speed?
I think he may have sped there, Joe, but I can't independently verify that necessarily. I looked at pit entry and I didn't see any grass getting kicked up.
This is unsafe exit. Oh, you know what? You know what that might have been? I bet he put his wheels over the yellow line. Yeah, he was flirting with it. He must have just stepped over it. And in he goes. That is such a shame after he did such a great pit entry. Gained himself so many spots and was now in contention for the victory. But what this does do is leave only Carlos Romero at the front. However, Skip Gandy's trying to chase him down, and he's got Lou Christian with him. In fact, where the heck did these guys come from? They've got Abner Acosta in there. Were those guys in the lead pack there that are leading that group right now? Well, they might not be very long as they've run to the bottom, and there goes Acosta.
Yeah, Acosta up to the high side, but Gandy and Christian still running strong there, and that's going to be Bobby Anderson on a 3-way pack. Acosta and Dinkel running high around Gandy and Christian. Are they going to be able to clear them and move back down onto that low line? Yes, they are.
So I went back and checked, and indeed, Gandy and Christian did indeed make up a part of that front pack. They were just hanging around in the back very quietly, but these wallflowers have bloomed. And they figure it's go time now as they put a lap down on poor Charles Sumner. Behind them, Bobby Anderson and Carlos Romero trying desperately to cling to that slipstream.
Indeed, and only about 9 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this race, Joe. So it is really starting to be now or never time. This lead breakaway group here, 1st to 6th, Acosta, Dinkel, Gandy, Christian, Anderson, Romero. This looks to be the team, the group in the catbird seat.
Romero's going to try to get back up to Acosta and Dinkel, who he was with for much of that last stint, but he can't get anybody to go with him. Anderson decides not to. Back to the bottom they go. So this is your top 6. Pat Harvey way too back to be involved in this. Mike Witt with him. Looks like Waldo Walden's the next one. He's got Robert Besaw Jr. So yeah, this dwindled down from what was 14 or so cars to only 6.
Indeed, and that gap is pretty much unassailable here at this point between Romero and Harvey. It's about 8.2 seconds right now. So I have got to think, unless there is some massive squabbling that goes on here up in the front of this field, it is not going to be on the cards for Pat Harvey on down.
No, they need a caution at this point. That's their only hope. And that shortens the racing significantly. In fact, I'm trying to think of, let's see, how long are the caution laps around here? Double checking on that. I think just under 2 minutes. So honestly, if they have a caution, they have another caution within the next maybe minute and a half, they can get back to green flag racing. After that, it might take them to the end of the race.
Oh boy, there it is, Joe. So you have got to know that it is now or never time. And for Abner Acosta, he is sitting pretty, getting a nice push from his teammate Trent Dinkle going into 3.
So how do you play this one? Do you try and go right now, knowing that they could have the caution, fly at any time? Because if you're up front, you might be vulnerable as well. There's no guarantees you can retain that lead. If it goes to the finish under green, you might want to be the car behind when it comes to that. How do you place yourself? And also, who of these guys will get it right, especially since Gandy and Christian have kind of really pulled the wool over everybody's eyes and suddenly now become major factors.
Indeed, they have a very, very good run for them. I'm very surprised. Romero looking up to the high side here. Is this the start of a second lane for this leading group?
Coming through 3 and 4. And Acosta still leads. We're down to 6 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. I think that's the drop dead time. If we get another caution, that's going to end it from here. We're going to be 12 to go across the line. But still, these 6 sit there with nobody looking like they want to move except for Romero. There he goes.
Yeah, Romero up to the high line, but he doesn't have any buddies around him, and that's not going to be good for him. He's going to fall back to the back of the order again, and he's going to have to fall in line behind Bobby Anderson.
I think that's the second time we've seen him try to get a run going and jump up. So I think he's trying to do it again, drop back, get the launch, and run, see if anybody will go with him. But poor Carlos, he is the little brother that can't see, through the crowd, that he needs somebody to pick him up.
It's hitting a very, very personal spot there, Joe. I'm not going to lie.
My brother was always taller than me, though, so I feel you. It's okay. I can grow a better beard than him now, so I got the last laugh as we come around now with 11 to go. And man, there is not a lot of changes in with this group. They seem extremely patient here at the end, other than Romero. Nobody seems, I don't know if they're even thinking about the fact that they're going to run out of time.
I mean, rest assured that they will have spotters and crew chiefs letting them know that they will be running a timed race, and maybe they're just waiting this out to the very bitter end, but I'm not sure. There comes Bobby Anderson, maybe thinking about it. No, that looks like just a little bit of a move to cool down the engine. No, he is going to try to have a run on the outside.
Oh, is Carlos going to sucker him? Yes, he is. He stays in line and says, thanks, that's what I've been trying to do. So there he goes, up to 5th now. And now he's got to try and do that again with everybody in front of him. Or hope that Bobby's not mad about that and is willing to link up and push him forward. Man, this is quite the game of chicken that we've got here, running at nearly 190 miles an hour up at the front of the field. 10 to go. They're good on fuel, but they're not good on time. Under 5 minutes left. Big push from Dinkle on Acosta. Remember, Abner is on 3 straight wins. He's looking to make it 4 here tonight if he can.
And he would love to do that to solidify his place at the top of the championship. Continuing to come around here, working their way down onto the back stretch right now. Excuse me, that's the front stretch there into the tri-oval. Coming down, crossing the line with 9 to go, but only 4 minutes on the clock.
So at about 50 seconds each, yeah, we're looking at 4 or 5 laps left, and now Bobby wants that spot back. Nearly had an incident there. Those two are going to go side by side. If they keep doing this, it's only going to be a 4-car group. Somebody's got to give here. Neither one is willing to. They're side drafting each other. Talk about shooting yourself in your foot. I don't think they're going to catch back up. They're really far back now. Romero might just cling.
He may just be able to cling to the back, and if Bobby Anderson is feeling generous, he could give him a nice little bit of a bump draft, but Anderson even looking like he's dropping off the back as well.
Well, they've gotten out the knives and the noses are on the floor after that one. At least if you're Bobby, I don't think he's getting back up there. Romero looks like he's starting to gain once again, but Anderson has been dropped. There goes that chance for him. Another one by. We're down to 3 minutes left to go. Lap traffic staying well out of the way of this group of 5.
Yeah, everybody not wanting to get into the middle of any of this. There, Romero has been able to catch back up and be able to make that work. Now he's looking a little bit squirrely there in the back, trying to find something to get his way around.
Costa still leads. Dinkel second, Gandy third, Christian fourth. Romero bumping himself up to 5th, but not without probably making a few enemies along the way. He now hovers just behind Lou Christian. Again, pokes his nose out. We come to the line. This is going to be 3 laps to go here for the drivers. They are not going to finish the full race distance. They are going to run out of time. Who is paying attention to the clock?
We did have a driver come over the radio and just kind of let everybody know, hey, we are going to finish on time. Here comes the move.
Gandy and Christian work together to get themselves in the top 5. Now they're going to work themselves together to get up to the top 2. Up on the high side. Big, big push for the 20. And the 21 is not giving up on it. He's going to try his darndest. And we get a caution. That ends it. Who is in the lead?
I think it was Abner.
It was mighty close. Oh, my goodness. What timing. They're going to get sorted out here, and I think you're right. Abner's been sent to the front. Where did that come from, though?
I don't know, Joe. I just heard it in the back. I'm looking at the track map right now to see.
It was Precker. Yeah, the 35. Oh, no. All this, and it came down to someone down in 15th getting a bad bump from behind. Massey got into the left rear bumper and turned him. That's a real disappointment for what was shaping up to be an absolutely thrilling finish.
Yeah, it really and truly was, Joe, and you hate to see it end like this. This is not what we wanted. Ticking down 45 seconds to go here. I'm not sure if they're going to take the checkered this time by or if this will be the white flag.
Yeah, sometimes this can get a little screwy, and they got somebody else with them. Not sure who that was that got shoved up to the outside and slammed it. I think he'll be able to finish, but the 35 probably blew his engine with that one. Precker most likely done. No, Precker's still rolling. He's going to try to get to the finish. I think they might get the white flag on this one, but we'll watch it to see. So there's Barney furiously waving away at that yellow. I think everybody's got the message now, Barney. So we're hearing that it's probably not checkered flag, and we're not seeing it on our timing and scoring. Yep, there's the white flag marker on our timing and scoring. And finally stopped waving, but it unfortunately doesn't hold the white. He will bring out that checker here next time by.
Yeah, indeed he will, as everything ticks over there, and that is going to be 4 on the trot for Abner Acosta.
I'm kind of curious. I'm going to go back and check and see if I can figure out the exact moment the lights came on the pace car, because that was so close amongst our front runners. To see just how close it was. And as they come down the backstretch, we still have time here. Yeah, there was essentially about a foot from Skip Gandy's nose to Abner Acosta's. If he had that caution come out just a few seconds maybe on either side, he probably would have been our winner here tonight. because they had a big push and actually got a nose into the lead at one point, and then maybe on another one just after that little drop back, they could have been at the front, but it was not to be. And for some reason, the racing gods just really keep smiling upon Abner Acosta this season.
Yeah, they do indeed, Joe. It's just his way around here, and it looks like nobody can really stop him at this point. He has just got luck and skill on his side.
How about Skip Gandy, though? His best finish of the season. Trent Dinkle, unfortunately, still looking for that win this season, and he's only going to be able to settle for third. What about Luke Christian? Yes, also, no, this might not be his best finish. Round 3, what did he have here? Because he got 40 points on that one. That was over at Richmond. He had a 6th place, so this is still the best finish for Luke Christian, this 4th place here today. They're going to come down to the line, though, and it's going to be a 1-3 for the private label team, as Abner Acosta takes the win here at Talladega. What a race that was. All kinds of twists and turns for our field today. Sadly, didn't make the full race distance, but we have reached the end of our coverage of the race ourselves. We're going to come back with more show. We've got the unofficial results as well as driver interviews coming your way, so stick around.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're going to give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much going to be a turnkey. So he's going to press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every question there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Round 5 in the PRL NASCAR Cup had Abner Acosta win again, but it was close. The yellow flag came out with 2 laps left on the clock, and somehow he just barely had the nose ahead when the lights came on the pace car. Skip Gandy was second behind him, taking his best finish of the season. Trent Dinkle rounds out the podium. Luke Christian also upping his best finish of the season by 2 positions, going from 22nd to 4th. Carlos Romero was P5, and then those behind them unfortunately fell back and dropped off. Bobby Anderson, not part of that front group at the end, in 6th. Pat Harvey 7th, and Mike Witt in 8th. Waldo Walden took 9th, and Robert Besaw Jr. rounds out your top 10.
It was Mark Kalin able to come home in 11th, followed by Byron McDonald's with Joshua Daniels and Tom Amasi behind them. Corey Precker was 15th and Charles Sumner 16th. They're the last drivers on the lead lap with Clayton Ham and Eric Papineau a lap down, Adam Zemke 2 laps down, and Cody Evanson 4 laps down.
Everybody from there, unfortunately, didn't get to see the checkered flag. We had some big wrecks out there today, and they wound up being pretty costly for the group. But for the man, Trent Dinkle, he still managed to third place. Curious to hear what he has to say about that, though. Trent, congratulations on a podium. It was mighty close there at the end, but still no victory this season. What are the emotions knowing that that you're still collecting valuable points, but you can't seem to top the podium?
Yeah, that's probably the most frustrated I've ever been to finish third, to be completely honest. So, but you know, I just made a little mistake coming out of the pits and it lost time, and then I had to convince Abner to slow down so I didn't get left off the pack. Then Skip and Lou caught up, and I kind of used them to get back up behind Abner. And yeah, I was waiting for the last lap to come off the time limit, and then of course they wrecked, and then the race is over, which is kind of annoying because you can't do anything. You know, and the field's so spread out, so there really should be no reason we're wrecking that late in the race anyways, but it is what it is. It's all good.
Yeah, we were just as disappointed. We wanted to see that as a race to the finish, but you had a few moments that looked like they were pretty scary out there, including your teammate causing quite a big one.
Yeah, well, that first track, I don't know who it was, but they just like kept squeezing down onto the bottom lane, and it's like, all right, you either got to come down or you got to stay up. You can't do both, because I mean, I lifted and got onto the brakes to try and miss him, you know, and then I can't get out of the way. And then with Abner, obviously I saw that happen right in front of me, so I jetted up to the wall as quick as I could to try and dodge it, which I did a pretty good job getting away from it. So, no, I mean, so third place, it's still been a consistent season of podiums and finishing up there, so I'm not too upset about it.
And I think you should be jumping Daniels in the points after this round as well.
Yep.
Next one out is Dover for you guys. We unfortunately aren't able to cover it, but do you see yourself faring well out in Delaware?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more going to be who can not destroy the right front tire throughout the race, you know? But yeah, I'm ready for that. And then, you know, I'm ready for Darlington. I think that's going to be a super fun race in this car, to be completely honest. So I got a super cool looking throwback paint for it, so it's going to be lots of fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that as well. Before you head out, anybody you want to thank for today's podium finish?
You know, definitely a huge thanks to Abner. I mean, he pushed me for a good chunk of the race. Thanks to, you know, Josh and Brandon got wrecked out, but they were helping us out as well. You know, Private Label, Ethica, all the Team Hype guys, as always. You know, my parents are watching, my grandparents are watching, so there's lots of people watching. So, you know, it's good that they're watching, but I'm kind of upset I couldn't get the win, but it's all good.
I can understand. That was Trent Dinkle in the number 9, taking home a third place today. In front of him, DJ's caught up with Skip Gandy, who was so close to the win.
I have indeed, Skip. That was the smallest of margins to miss out. You have got to be absolutely kicking yourself here at this point. That was so close. Skip, you got a copy?
We might need to give him a second. Here he goes.
Hey, Skip, can you hear me?
Yeah, do you have me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Just so heartbreaking there for you to miss out by that much. You've got to be ruining that yellow flag.
Yeah, it's a special thanks to my teammate Lou behind me pushing me. I never would have got there without him. But yeah, it's definitely a heartbreaker to be that close and the caution come out.
Well, talk me through those last final laps there. Obviously, you come out of pit stops. You and Lou run an absolutely brilliant strategy to jump your way up through the field. I mean, was the plan always to go there with just a couple of laps to go like that? And were you guys just kind of biding your time?
Yes, sir. We were just waiting. We weren't sure what they were going to do in front. I wasn't sure if Trent was going to pull out and we'd follow him around or what the case was going to be. But we got to the backstretch and had a run, so we just went with it.
Well, obviously, coming up just that close short, but we head to Dover in a week's time. Do you think that's going to go well for you guys? Can that be maybe a return and get you onto that top step?
I'm hoping so. We've been close. Our whole team has been close. I mean, we're there, but we're just not there. So hopefully this Dover will be the equalizer for everybody.
Well, fingers crossed to you, my friend. And as for today, a second place run, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to send a special thank outs to my team at SGE eSports and everybody that's helped us along the way. I like to shout out to Tag Ray and Eric Papinel for my paint schemes and everybody that's helped us and the admins for putting on this.
Well, thank you, Skip, and congratulations again on a second place.
Thank you very much.
Skip Gandy, your second place finisher. And Joe, I believe you've caught up with Abner Acosta, your winner here today.
Indeed. Abner, I have to ask, which crossroads did you meet with the devil to make the deal to get that one? Because that came down to the closest of margins, and you still somehow made it your fourth in a row.
Yeah. I definitely did not expect to win. I was just trying to survive. I don't really like plate racing that much. Like, yeah, the 10 last laps are fun and everything, but I don't really enjoy it. So I was just pushing Trent all the way through, and I guess there was some hiccups on his end on coming out of the pits, and I just came out ahead. And apparently the other group at the end also made some mistakes, so we were just, I guess, guaranteed top 5, and everything just played out.
Talk about the incident that you got tangled up in as well, where you came to the front with Hudson in front of you. It looks like you clipped him. Have you had a chance to go back and take a look at the replay? What's your perspective?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it now. My whole thought was, I was clear, and he stayed on the outside. He was like kind of just staying on the outside the whole time. So we were already like mid-turn into turn 1. So I had a run on him. I was just going to take the inside. And I mean, I guess I'll let the stewards decide, but I see him trying to go down, I guess, at the same time. And I'm not going to say necessarily block me, but I guess he was just seeing what I was doing. And I'm already at the yellow line, and I guess we just touch at that point. And I'm off the gas slightly, like, I would say like 5% on the brake. It was just the contact was just there. Hate it for him because I know he, it was a good race, and I took out, if that was my fault, that was a lot of cars that got involved in that. But I think it was just, again, I was just going to take that inside line. We were already like mid-turn into turn 1, and it was just like he maybe tried to get down as well, and we just touched.
The other positive out of this, though, is that your main rival in the championship, at least closest coming in, was Josh Daniels, and he had a bad finish. That puts Private Label at 1 and 2 in the points. How are you feeling heading into the second half of the season?
I feel really good. Usually by the half, I've usually like gotten in two incidents, maybe 2 DNFs, and I'm just building back up. And I eventually catch up. So just being ahead at the half, no drop week so far. It looks really good. My internet's fixed. Everything looks like it's playing out perfect. So we'll see what happens. But definitely taking it race by race.
All coming up roses. Well, we'll cross our fingers for you. Is there anybody you want to thank that helped make this victory possible?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody at Private Label Team Hype, Ethica, Neonism, everybody that worked on the race strategy today. Trent obviously helped a lot. Brandon, Josh, Ty in the box. You guys at GSRC for broadcasting all of our races, and PRL for hosting the league.
That was Abner Acosta, your winner here today at Talladega. That's going to wrap us up, though, and we want to thank the sponsors before we head out, which, of course, includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. Also, RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebutkicker.com. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. A thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenvy.com. There's also a link in the description below for that one. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, the next race that we're covering is Darlington. That'll be Sunday, May 8th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. But up next week, they're heading off to Dover. We'll see how they come out the other side of that. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.